You're on the air.
Hi, Great Autos members. This is Doogie, or David Friedman, as a lot of you know me, but my nickname is Doogie. And greetings from the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm here in Hilo, and this is the view from my lanai. That's the Hilo golf course. And we didn't get a hurricane. Hurricane Douglas knew better than to mess with us and went to the north, and we just didn't get any rain and didn't get any, very little wind, like a little wind yesterday. And now you could see it's just a gorgeous day, and wish you all were here with your classic cars. So take it away, Ed.
David, is it 5 hours difference there?
No, 3 hours difference.
3 hours. Oh.
Like New York.
Actually, David, since a lot of people who may see this don't know you, why don't you tell everybody a little who you are and your history with the club and all that good stuff?
Chuck said, oh, if you insist. So let's see. Gosh, I joined Great Autos in 1986 when I was 9 years old. And I've been a board member numerous times. I've been on the board with Mike and with Mark. And boy, did we have fun. Isn't that right, guys?
That is so true.
On the board.
We had so much fun. What happens on the board of Great Autos stays on the board of Great Autos. And now I live on the Big Island of Hawaii in Hilo, and I'm just trying to make some connections with other LGBT members here. I'm a member of the Classic Car Club here, but we haven't had anything in half a year. So it's a little hard to make those connections. But still, it's nice to have an area coordinator on the Big Island of Hawaii, and I thank Ed for giving me a moment to talk up the Big Island. And like I said, we dodged the hurricane. Douglas knew not to fuck with us. Sorry, mess with us.
It's okay. I won't. Anyway, thank you, David. By the way, for any of you who are close to Mid-Wilshire, and that's probably not anybody here except Mark, my church is having a drive-by blessing today. It's our patronal feast day. So if you want to come by and get your car censed and doused with a little holy water and blessed.
That's so awesome.
It's on St. Andrew's Place, just above Wilshire, at the entrance to the church parking lot. We're going to have incense and all the sacramental falderall. So for what it's worth. And the other thing about, I've learned how to use Zoom because I have 25 clients a week that I'm now doing telehealth with. But for the rest of you, you might want to, I think this will go well, because I remember the first LA cruise in, I had only 3 people showed up, and you all knew what that grew to. So do all of you think this is a good idea?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We should be doing this every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Nick is coming in. I don't know how to set this so it's auto.
Oh
there
my
he
God,
is.
it's Nick Grants! Nick Grants, everybody! Yay!
Aloha.
Aloha yourself. Wow.
We have the other Hawaii representative.
Hey.
Look at, guys, we've got, what, 5 people in this meeting, 2 of them are from Hawaii. How cool is that?
Who else is from Hawaii? Oh, that's right.
Your area coordinator.
Yeah, David.
But hold it, Nick, you're in Oahu, right?
No, Maui.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna just get a close shave from Douglas, right?
Well, it's a little more than that. We'll see in the next couple hours, but I think no, it's coming, but not head on.
Yeah, it missed us completely. It's a beautiful day here on the Big Island.
Are you on Hilo side or the other side?
Oh God, no! I would never live on Costco side. I live in Hilo. And Nick, you look great. You still have your hair.
You look great, Nick.
Yeah, the beard looks good.
Thank you. I decided to go white, which
looks very silver fox. Looks very distinguished.
Yeah, I'm not ready to be old yet, but so
neither am I. Do you have Nick, did you bring a classic car with you to Maui?
Well,
What is Z? We love a Z.
Yeah, I have my Datsun.
What year?
It's an 81 280ZX 2
Oh,
plus
very nice. What color? Baby shit green or copper?
2? Copper.
There you go. It's the only two colors they built the car in.
Everybody loves that car. I like it.
I love it.
I had no idea how many other people like it, but everybody says something. But, I've got my eye on a Stingray in Houston, and I'm thinking, I can't sell that Datsun here. The islands are too small. So I thought, if I shipped it to the mainland, maybe I could, sell it in LA or in Houston where the other car is. And dreaming, we'll see.
Try to sell it in the islands first. Try to sell it in the islands first, because all you need is one buyer, somebody who just moved there and who's got some cash, and who always wanted one.
One buyer, all you need.
Yeah, I had it for sale for several weeks, but well, anyway, I mean, it is actually tough to sell anything but a new car here.
Yeah.
And unless it's a beater.
My friend, Jim's friends live in Hawaii. I'm not sure where, but they have a Suzuki X90 that they shipped over there,
Of course.
which they bought there and they shipped back here, and then they shipped it back over there. So it's pretty cool there.
Wow.
That's on my bucket list. So,
Nick, do you have any kind of classic car clubs going on where you are? Because in Gila, we have a huge, guys, you should just know this. We have a huge classic car club here called Cruisers, Hawaiian Cruisers. And every 3 years on the 4th of July, they have a gigantic car show here in Gila with like 500 cars. And people ship their cars over to here for the show.
Is that so?
It's just, so do you have like, is there like a big classic car club contingency?
Not really. And the cars that are here are modified, which is not, it's not my thing. There's a lot of hot rods.
Okay.
So, and we're a small island, it's not that many
We're
people.
a big island. Yeah. Where do you live?
Huh?
Where do you live?
Kihei.
Oh, very nice. My favorite Maui.
Yeah, me too. I am so blessed I lucked out here.
Nick, where is that in relation to like Lahaina?
Lahaina's on the other side of the island. It's on the west side of the island. And I'm on the south side.
Is that near Hana Bay or anything?
That's on the other side.
No, but it's too many sides.
Yeah, well, there's a left and a right and a top and a bottom, and I'm on the bottom,
There you
as
go.
usual.
okay,
Leave that right there. Hey,
So-
Ed, who was that guy, Brett, that just sort of tried to, is that Brett Barris, do you think?
Maybe. I mean, all I saw was what you saw,
Okay.
but maybe he's having technical difficulties. If any of you know his phone number, call him up and walk him
He
through.
might be in Hawaii too. You never know. Mike, you
No.
have a way of reaching Brett Barris?
Well, we don't. I mean, honestly, the odds of it being Brett Barris are pretty slim.
Yeah, I
So
thought
there's a lot of people named Brett. So I would go to the
That's
roster
true.
and look up Brett first. So
So, Mike, how are you?
good. Being that David got to do the view on his lanai, I'll guys.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh, you got to see this place.
I don't know if you can see that because the camera's got to adjust. So this is out the bedroom window. That's the 10 freeway and the tram right there.
Cool.
And then over here is basically the view of Palm Springs. So that's Palm Springs right down there.
Nice.
Looks like a postcard, Mike.
And this is, look, Mark, there's hardly any wind today. This is like
I'm about to ask for the wind report.
Yeah, because you see the windmills are barely moving. So it's,
Wow.
Let's check with the wind report, please.
yeah. So
So,
I have my own weather station, so I can do that. So,
wow.
David, you know the story of this place that Mike got?
Yeah, no, he and I chatted about it. But Mike, why don't you regale the story for all the Great Autos members?
Yes,
Well-
we are still recording, so go for it.
so as everybody knows, I still store my cars up at Yucca Valley at Ray Gonzalez's place, right? So I would take many trips out here, taking the 10, taking Highway 62, and there's this house that's perched up on the corner of Highway 62 and the 10 right as you make the curve, and it's this kind of really cool octagon-shaped mid-century kind of landmark house, and I would always kind of sort sort of obsessed about that house and how cool it was, and fascinated by the view. So fast forward, when I decided to leave LA and move out here, as much as I wanted like the perfect, you know, Alexander and Twin Palms, the house that I looked at 15 years ago that was 75,000 was now 750,000, which, you know, for basically a vacation home with 2 bedrooms is just not going to work for me. So I wanted to be close to what I'm calling Palm Springs adjacent, but I wanted to be able to have some land and build a building for the cars. So that's my ultimate goal. So actually in Whitewater, which is unincorporated Riverside County, and I have 7 acres on a hillside, and I'm up at the top, and I back up to a wind farm. So that part of it's all great because I have amazing views of the entire Coachella Valley, and I basically only have 2 neighbors that can't even see the house, and it's really private up here, and it's, you know, the views are great, and it's really cool. But I have windmills behind me because it does get windy. So some days it's usually just a little breezy. Some days it's pretty windy. Some days it'll knock you over. And so it's just, you know, making the adapting to that, and also setting up the house. So it takes that into consideration. When I bought the house, my first reaction when we came here to look at it, because Mark and I came out here and drove around, and we drove up in this area. Look, here's Brett.
Hi, Brett.
Welcome.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
We're doing good.
Good.
I'm in the midst of telling the story of how I found my house. So
Since
Let's hear
whoa, hold on a second, Mike. Brett, we are recording this so that we can put it up on the Facebook page and all that for members who couldn't make it, just so you know.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Mike.
So it just so happened that right about the time I started looking, this place came up for sale. And so the first time we came up here to look at it, you know, I contacted John Burge, who's former president and on the club, and he's my realtor. And, you know, my first reaction was literally that a cult had lived here, because the inside of the house had a lot of really strange, really freaky touches that were not necessarily well executed. So
Give an
my
example.
thought- you know, what?
Give an
Well,
example.
here in the master bedroom, which is where I'm sitting now, and the house is not complete. Basically, what I did was gutted the house and sort of start over each room. But here, I'm in the master bedroom, which is almost done. I probably later this year will be actually able to live up here, but there's so much going on that it's just too dusty and everything. So anyway, built here in the master bedroom was a built-in queen-size bed frame that went up to the ceiling that was surrounded by giant 5-foot plaster snakes. And so basically, when you woke up in the morning, there was these 2 giant plaster snakes staring at you. And again, it was not very well executed. So there were all kinds of other weird little things. There was like faces in the wall, and, you know.
That's weird.
Yeah, and then out back, we have what I call the bunkhouse, which are 2 rooms, and one of them I call the cave room, and one of them is the diorama room. And this is where the original owners had 6 foster boys, and so they wanted to make the house whimsical. And from what the second owner told me, their intention was that it was like a pirate ship, which they kind of failed really miserably. But all the doors and everything were really heavy wood with heavy big hinges on them. And there was, in one of the other bedrooms, this kind of railing that went up to a crow's nest up in an attic area. There was just like so much weird stuff. And
That
there
is
was,
so weird.
you know,
And the speaking tubes, Mike. Don't forget that.
oh yeah. So we found these like tubes going through the ceiling, and basically it was so the parents could speak to the kids up in the attic. But they were like old school, literal like plastic tubing. So there was all, you know, and we found a bank built into the wall that, you know, so anyway, the more it unraveled, the more odd it got. But I decided that the basics of the house were good, and it has a way more powerful solar system on the roof than it needs. So I generate way more electricity, and it has central air. So the bones of the house were good, but I decided to just like gut the whole place and then start over. So I'm kind of making it sort of, think mid-century bachelor pad space 1999-ish, you know, that's kind of.
Sounds good.
And it's going to have a gigantic place for your cars, right, Mike?
Yeah, because I'm going to build it. One of the levels out back, I'm going to build a big building on. So.
Wow, now you're talking dirty.
And what will be posted next to it as a guardian?
Well, I've always had this dream to own a muffler man, which are these giant fiberglass guys that are all around the country that basically are in front of mechanic shops and stuff. And thanks to the beauty of the internet, there's always one person that obsesses about stuff. So there are these guys that have this website called American Giant, and they document all the muffler men all around the country, and they go and rescue them and repair them, and they broker them. So hopefully someday I'll have a giant muffler man up back behind the house. So,
That's great.
yeah.
God bless disposable income.
Yeah, so it's been an adventure. It's been a year, and it's, progress is not as fast as I'd like, but I'm very happy so far. So.
Oh, that the muffler mans that you're talking about, Mike, those are literally made out of mufflers and exhaust pipes, right?
No, they're called muffler man, but they're actually fiberglass, and they were made in the mid '60s by a company called American Fiberglass of all places, Venice, and they were basically an advertising tool. So most of them were not necessarily at muffler shops. There's ones that are holding giant hot dogs, or there's ones that are holding rocket ships, or it kind of got repurposed to whatever business it was in front of.
You know the one out in Malibu, right, with the big sombrero?
Yeah, there's one
there.
in Malibu. It's on PCH. It's now a Mexican restaurant, so it had a big sombrero. There's ones that are Indians and Santa Claus and Frankenstein.
Cool.
There was a golfer at Dominguez Hills right off the 405 and the Harbor Freeway.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen that one. Yeah.
So if we Google muffler man, we'll see pictures.
Yeah, and there's a really active Instagram page that I follow that basically tracks them all. So, and on this, I went on this little journey recently and got to go see 3 of them, and I took pictures with 3 of them. So
Nice.
Wow. This is so fascinating. I had no idea. Now I want to go and check them out. Because I always thought when we were talking about muffler man, you've seen them. They're muffler men in front of muffler shops, and they're made out of mufflers and exhaust pipes. But you're talking about something completely different, and I'm going to go and check it on the internet right now, and I'll be back.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that to me they were very sort of iconic, 60s Americana, and growing up in New Jersey there was a whole bunch of them. So let me see if I can have you see. This one's the Gemini Giant outside of Joliet, Illinois, and this one's at an actual car repair shop.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
and how? Oh God, so I don't have perspective. How tall are these?
They're about 22 foot high.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, you better fasten that down.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's going to have to be like, there's one up here in Joshua Tree, which is these guys found in Mecca, and they somehow rescued it. And so there's this really kind of cool, artsy, hipster converted gas station that's like a store and a flea market, and they have one right outside there. So
Mike, you have to get it. It's just the coolest thing in the world, and that will so top off your house the minute.
I have always wanted one, but Bob never would have let that happen on land. Plus, I think there's certain permit issues, but out here, the land's sort of semi-commercial, so there's a whole bunch of things that I could do. If I had my way, I'd have a tilt-a-whirl up here, but I have.
But there's only
what is the other thing you're going to get, Mike? What is the other thing?
Mike, there's only one problem. On a regular basis, somebody's going to come up there wanting you to put a new muffler on their car.
I know, right?
Okay, this is the one that's in Malibu on PCH with the sombrero.
Yeah.
Remember that, David?
So it's the same guy. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is no Mexican restaurant next to him now. It's just an empty restaurant, but it's preserved there somehow. So, and here he is right above my Buick there.
Oh, that's a good shot. Send me that, Mark, send me that shot.
You want that? Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of cut his head off, but it was very hard to see. How about, you want this one instead?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. I will happily send that to you. I'll send it
I'll
right.
add that to my collection.
Let's talk to Brett. How are you, Brett?
Good.
Where are you at?
I'm down in the Torrance area.
Oh, look at that.
And
So-
are you painting? Why is stuff behind you covered with paint tarps?
So you don't see it.
Oh, good.
I Zoom for work, so sometimes I throw that over that. Yeah.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
So have you ever been to the West LA cruise, Brett?
I have not. I have
Okay.
not. But you've got kind of a core group there, right?
Yeah, I used to participate, but I a year ago moved to the desert, so I'm out in Palm Springs now. So, and David and Nick are in Hawaii.
So it's a little hard for us to come in for it,
Wow.
especially now.
But I miss West Coast meet.
Yeah,
I
well,
was
this year we
all
all
doing it.
did, you know.
I was hoping to make it this year, but
They had
We
the
have,
scotch.
we have a couple other things are going to be missing this year.
yeah.
Casual Concours is now going to be February, and the Rainbow Car Show, that's been indefinitely postponed. So the next really big thing is going to be the holiday party. That is still a go.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
the
Dave-
Hermosa show, guys, the Hermosa show is still scheduled for September 20th.
That's right.
But
And David's Gilmore show got canceled too, right?
yeah, we were hoping to do it as a fall classic, but with the way things are looking right now in California,
So David, have you heard any updates as to what happened to the Grove? For those of you who don't know, David did a show at the basically at the farmers market right in front of the Grove for the last 20 years, and it was a really, really good show. But this year, the Grove got looted. So, and there's that iconic picture of a woman running out of the Cheesecake Factory holding an entire
yeah.
cheesecake, you know, which
Oh,
is
that was
just
there.
so bizarre, you know, and sad.
So- what basically happened is that, you know, the Apple store at the Grove got looted, and so did Nordstrom's. What's really a tribute to the market is they spray painted lots of graffiti on the classic clock tower, that's like 100.
Oh.
And 4 hours later, everything was painted over. Like you couldn't tell. And for any of you that have ever tried to paint over spray paint, it's really difficult. You have to treat the spray paint first and then paint over it. And literally in 4 hours after the riots and all of the graffiti, the market looked like it was completely back to normal. Of course, the Grove wasn't. The looting was there, was hard. And that looting happened exactly 6 days before when the show was supposed to happen.
Wow.
Well, for what it's worth, for those of you, the backstory that was in the news later, you know, in little blips, but also I know friends who participated in that. And the people who came, and there was some footage they got. It was 2 or 3 people dressed in solid black who nobody knew. And by the way, the other backstory is, remember the picture of the police SUV on fire? Somebody got footage of one of the LAPD cops torching it. Apparently, they keep a few old cars around so they can go out, set them on fire, and blame the people who are protesting. So for what it's worth, you always have to look at, I know a lot of people who are doing these marches, and I'm telling you, the marches.
I mean, it was definitely opportunist. I think, you know,
Right, but
bad operas or
specifically,
gangs or whatever, you know.
well, but specifically with the spray paint, I've worked around law enforcement. They actually have units to sabotage stuff like this, because when I was a gay rights activist 40 years ago doing marches, people would show up, nobody do, and they were always trying to make trouble. So for what it's worth, hey, J. Edgar Hoover is still alive and well in American law enforcement.
Well, anyway, back to
Yes.
back to, so yeah, it's the first time in 26 years that the Gilmore show, like everything else, has been canceled. And this is just a pitch for the Hermosa show. It's the lightest weight show you can imagine. Mike and Mark have been intimately involved in it numerous times, and the city is like, we're going to wait and see what happens in August. And they can literally tell me on September 10th, yeah, go ahead and have the show. And I'll have the show. I'll have 50 cars, which is the maximum number of cars at the beach. We'll have 50 cars on September 20th. And I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys posted.
Well, for what it's worth, you probably have plenty of other opportunities, but I do have a guest room that I soundproofed a couple of months ago, so you're more than welcome to come stay here. And I
Very
even have room to, I even have room to park at least one car off the street.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's just, you know, what are you going to do? It's just crazy. And the city of Hermosa Beach loves us. They always have. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, next year in Jerusalem.
There you go.
So Brett, how long have you been in the club?
Oh, a couple of years.
Yeah.
Go to the Long Beach meets once in a while. It's been a while though. Yeah, I haven't done anything in probably a year. Yeah.
Well, they do a great job. They have a great cruise night down there, which I haven't been able to go to, obviously, but you know.
Yeah, they do.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a 94 Fleetwood.
Oh, that's awesome. I love those.
Wow.
I'm trying to find a 96, you know.
Yeah, the last of the big
The last big, oh God, talk dirty to me. The last of the big Fleetwood.
Really big.
Now, do you know anything about, you know, like is a 94 better than 96? Because somebody told me that in 96 they changed the electrics and the 95s are actually better. So I don't know, you know.
All I know is the 94s have the small mirrors.
Okay.
They're way disproportionate to the car. They're in the doors. And I think in 95, 96, they actually got a little more realistic.
And the 96s, you could get the Corvette engine in the 96 along with the Roadmaster wagon at that
Couldn't you get that in that starting? Didn't that start in 94 though? Can't you get
Yeah,
the
that's what I have.
Yeah.
You have the Corvette engine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the L1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which of them Brett, has the rectangular headlights? Isn't that around that time?
The rectangulars, yeah.
The dual headlights as opposed to the smaller 4 headlights?
You know, Mark, it's the one that Paul Sasman has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Brett, what color is your car? White or silver?
No. Dark blue.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh,
Dark
very
blue.
rare color. Very nice.
Well, you know, I really want one of those, but I started to look at Buick Roadmasters because basically, if you get like, I think the Limited, it also, I think, could come with an LT1.
Yeah.
And not the wagons, because the wagons are like crazy expensive now, and the Fleetwoods are getting to be like crazy expensive. But like, you can pick up those Roadmasters for like $2,500. So I'm gonna look for a little old lady version of that. So
Yeah. Those are very sweet cars too.
yeah.
Yeah, they were, I mean, well, Brett, you tell us, is your Fleetwood reliable?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's too big for the garage, so it's, you know, you have to keep up on the.
Never too big for the garage.
Yeah.
It's the garage is too freaking small. It's the garage's fault.
There you go, Mark. Garage is too small.
Well, my friend John Crismo in Albuquerque has a 90. I think it's either 93 or 94. I think the 94 is actually. He has a limo and a hearse of Fleetwood. So I mean the hearse is in Chestnut, which is crazy. So you take like the last of the big cars and then you add on, you know, and Mark, remember we rode, he brought the limo out here and we took it for a ride and it was fun.
And Mike says, can you help John out by driving that back to my house? And I'm like, sure, it's a hearse. What could go wrong? And it was a low miles, like 30,000 or something miles. And that thing was brand new and it flew. And Mike's like, why are you going so goddamn fast? I'm like
80.
65, 70, come on.
Well, good for you. I love that car. So that sounds very cool. So
Thank you.
So.
So when was the last time you guys actually met physically in person there?
1981.
The last, I think, official event was what, like February?
February.
Was February.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first event that got the chop was was Heaps of Fun.
Just March.
Oh,
You
yeah.
ever go to that, Brett? The Heaps of Fun?
No, I was hoping to this year, but obviously no. Yeah.
As it turned out, sadly, the city of Los Angeles was an idiot. And even though we made a reservation back in November, when I called in February to confirm it, they're like, what date was that again? I'm like, oh my God.
Oh.
And then they moved it to a different date. And this is before the COVID thing, the COVID acts fell down. And so anyway, we set that up, republicized the date, and then on the date that we had been given, it rained like cats and dogs, and we wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. They shut off the access to Woodley Park on both sides, you know, like they do in the Sepulveda Basin. So that was kind of awful. But yeah, what was the event in February, Mike, that we did? We're all like this. Like, what was it?
I don't.
I don't know, right?
remember.
Do you remember
That was
David Friedman?
months ago.
It was several lifetimes ago, David Friedman.
Yeah.
Well, everything shut down on March 14th because
Yep.
we had Davide's surprise birthday party the night before. And the host works for LA County Health Department, and both his work and personal cell phone were dinging off the hook with text messages about this building is closing and that building is closing and this agency's closing. So yeah, it happened, bam, all at once on the 14th of March here.
And that was going to be the night that that Hamilton was going to show at the Pantages, the hottest ticket in town for decades, and they shut it down.
Right. I even remember reading about that. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Among many big deals.
Very sad from a theatrical point of view.
I'm looking to see if I can find anything that resembles an event from February. So,
Well,
Dave,
actually, excuse me, Mike,
Uh-huh.
while they're there, I got a message from Desano. And their
Yeah.
parking, just hang on, their parking lot is virtually finished. And if we want to show up, they will come out, they will let us in and nobody else. That's the first
Aw.
thing. The second thing is they are still open for takeout. So if y'all wanted to have an LA event there, and I have to run this past everybody, we could literally go in, distance our cars, do all the other safety stuff, and get pizza to go to eat on our hoods or tailgate or whatever. So let me know what you think of that idea.
Sounds good.
Love it.
Well, I'm going to tell you that people had a coffee get together, the chain of coffee places in Palm Springs, and somebody posted pictures, and they were so excited to get together. It's really something, and it's a wonderful feeling to see people you haven't seen in a long time, and just to see cars. I mean, this is very elemental to our existence, to be able to do something like that. So
Well put,
thank
Mark.
you. Well, thank you, Ed, for putting this together, just so we can get people to talk at each
Mark,
other.
I remembered our February event.
Yeah, it was at my event.
No, it was in the Palm Springs drive tour where my Buick broke down.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. We went to those great houses, and yeah, and yeah, that's.
So I have a 74 Buick LeSabre convertible. So we're like, swishing around Palm Springs and that thing. And in the middle of it was kind of like a driving tour. So in the middle of the tour, I had like a quarter tank, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop and get some gas. So we pull into this gas station, and this guy goes, "Hey, your car's leaking oil really bad." And I'm like, "What?" So we go around the front, and there's this literal huge pile underneath the car, and what had happened is the steering gearbox kind of exploded and dumped all the power steering fluid under the car. And of course I had like no steering, and so Mark and my friend Brian that was riding in my car had to what do we do? You had to get somebody to come pick you up or something? I forget what we did.
Yeah, we had to go. We got some lunch, and we watched the flatbed come and take you away. And that, I'm telling you, that guy at that service station was not happy with us.
Yeah, because when
came
I
out with
this, it was like a huge puddle of
And
So he brought the kitty litter out.
He spread some shit around, and this stuff is professional grade. It just ate that oil up like that. It was amazing.
Lucky
We
you
should
were
all
at the
have
gas
that.
station.
Yeah.
So, Mike, your car suddenly had no opinion steering.
Yeah, and I was going to take it up here to the house, which would not have been good. So ultimately, what happened was I had to tow it up here, and then Rock Auto actually had the gearbox, the steering gearbox. So I got it from Rock Auto, and I managed to drive it down to Palm Springs because I figured out a route where I only had to make like 3 turns. So,
Such a classic car owner.
So I got it to the shop, and it's all happy now. It's all better now. So, but it was funny because literally, there's a long history to where how I got this car and why and everything. And I kind of, it's a love-hate relationship, but the car has got a 455 in it and it's been like super dependable. And literally like 5 minutes earlier, I was just telling Mark, even though like I don't like the color of this car and it has some problems, it's like, it's been like, really super dependable and it's great to drive. Boom,
It
Heard you.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yep.
What color is the car?
it's root beer brown metallic
Yeah.
with the
It's
tannin
70s.
beer.
Oh, Mike, what color is that convertible top?
The convertible top is ripped. That's what color it is.
I've had a few of those.
It's called Claude Rains number 5. It's completely invisible.
No, it's there. It's just really crusty. But
Oh, is it there? I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, I put it up and put it down it's got that hideous scissor top thing.
The scissor tops that the Eldorado had.
Yeah, so
Is
I
it
put
black
it
or white?
They all had it.
But it does have the factory parade boot, the fiberglass boot, which is very cool. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
at this point, I'll never probably need a top. So and I do have a top on my other car, David, which you haven't heard about, which is my 1973 Ford Pinto Convertible.
What?
What?
How can that be?
Exactly. So
Do you How is that possible? Because so it was the hatchback and someone made it into a convertible?
it's a parade car basically, but it's semi-legit because the story is because I'd known about this car and the guy that had it was a collector and put it up on sale on Facebook and I couldn't refuse. But it's a 73 and the urban legend is that in 73 the Pintos were hot. They were hard to get. So this woman bought this car and something happened. A tree fell on it and basically crushed the roof. But the rest of the car was okay, right? So she took it back to the dealer, got something else. And so the guy that owned the dealership basically had his body shop at the dealer, chopped the top, and also reinforced underneath. So there's two like metal rails that run the length of the car to prevent, from doing this.
Yeah, from SAG.
And they did a pretty decent job. So his wife drove the car around this town, in Minneapolis or whatever, outside in Minnesota. And then after she basically got, tired of it, they donated it to the local Shriners. So the Shriners used it as their parade car. So, with a history like that, how could I say no? But it's going to be my Palm Springs Pinto, and I actually got black plates ordered that says PS Pinto. So
Nice.
Do you have a picture?
yeah, I probably can pull one up on my phone. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's
Literally a clown
actually
car.
a cool car. But it doesn't like they even took the windows out because I think the windshield's raked a little different. So it's got no windows at all. So a couple times like driving on, Indian Canyon, it was just, so.
Mike, I don't think you ever saw my Pinto Wagon.
I don't think I did either, Nick. When did you have a Pinto Wagon?
It's orange with wood grain on the side.
Oh, you're kidding. When was this?
Oh, it was in the 80s. I think I joined in 85 or so. Maybe it was before that.
Oh.
But it was a great car. It rode so well, drove so nicely. 4-cylinder, adequate. Nice car.
Well, they before, in the 90s and 80s and 90s, like you couldn't give Pintos away, literally. But, I started collecting them. And, and Brett, in case you don't know, I own the Disco Pinto, which is yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, many times.
My parents bought a Vega in 71.
Ooh.
But it was a pre-strike Vega. Plus, my mother put 24,000 miles on it in like 5 or 6 years.
I thought they were nice cars.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a whole story. I won't waste your time. But anyway, and then I had it for a while. But what I was going to say about, you were talking about Pintos, being for sale, etc. in the 80s. There weren't any Vegas for sale because they'd all exploded 5 years before.
Well, what they possibly attribute some of that is to, I guess it had an aluminum block with iron heads. But also, do you guys know how they used to ship the Vegas?
Standing up.
Yeah. This blew my mind. The GM figured out they could get like 2 more Vegas per boxcar, so they hung them like this, like slabs of beef. So I'm
Right.
sure driving across the country like this, didn't do much for them. And then supposedly when they would lay them down, all the oil would be down at one end of the engine, and they'd start them up and basically fry the back 2 cylinders, because they had no oil in them. So, I don't know how much of that is true, but I do have pictures of them loading them on the boxcars, which is insane.
Well,
Wow.
for what it's worth, the reason the first 2 or 3 years of K cars had that snubbed was they were literally chopped to do the same thing when they shipped them because they were saving money. But in terms of the Vega, it was mostly the engine. What they did was they literally went back and iron sleeved the aluminum block.
Yep.
Oh,
etc.
really?
Oh, it
Wow.
was insane. But more importantly, it was, how would I say it? It was a sort of a conglomeration of nobody communicating with the other departments that were designing whatever they were designing. And Reynolds Aluminum, which has been trying to sell aluminum blocks to the American auto industry for at least 60 or 70 years, they had this brand new high silicon aluminum. Oh, it's different. It won't this, it won't that, and all this. And so the pistons actually were cast iron plated. So it was cast iron running in this high silicon aluminum. It would have worked except for one thing. Aluminum warps when it gets too hot, and General Motors did not put a strong enough cooling system in those cars, especially when they came with air conditioning. And that's a whole other nightmare. But anyway, if it hadn't been for that engine, people probably would have driven them forever. But the engine was the death of the thing. And by the time the Pontiac came out with the Iron Duke later on, and they were putting that one in Vegas, but at that point, nobody would go near one. They were like Renaults, nobody would go near one.
It's
Yeah,
so
no,
strange
guys,
because
I
those are
had a
predictable
Vega.
problems.
I had a Vega in high school for about 4 months. I think my uncle gave me the car, and it was a tank of gas and a case of oil, pretty much.
Really?
And yeah, it would literally burn an entire case of oil in one tank of gas. And I'm like 60 years old. I don't want this car anymore. But regarding the Pinto, you all remember my Pinto cruising wagon, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
orange one with the orange interior. Jeff Dunham bought that car, and he still has it. And every once in a while, Jeff Dunham, the comedian, every once in a while, he emails me a picture of it somewhere, someplace. Someone's just left. He's great. He'll send me a picture from his phone of someone looking at the car, pointing at the car, and laughing, just literally on the street, like this, laughing. And he still has the car. He bought it from me. Gosh, I guess it was maybe 8 or 10 years ago now. And the other great story is that my Skyliner was on Jay Leno's garage, and Jay Leno, I had given him pictures of my '60 Lincoln, and this was about a year and a half ago. He said, "Hey," he called me up and he said, "Hey, I'm doing a show on the 58, 59, 60 Lincolns. Would you like to have your car in my show?" I go, "I'd love to, but I'm in Hawaii." And he's like, "Okay." And sure enough, literally like 3 weeks later, you watch it. There's a Jay Leno's garage with this gorgeous, that he bought, gorgeous 58 hardtop 2-door coupe that he did on the show. So, and I still have the 60 Lincoln. I've sold all my cars. That's the only car I have left.
Well,
You
that
have
car's
over there,
amazing,
David?
though.
Say that again?
You have that over there?
I've been wanting to bring it over, but I have to have a garage for it, and I think I found a place for it. But I don't know. At this point, I'm just thinking I'm going to keep it in LA for now. You need a garage, and I've always had really great garages for my cars.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll just buy another 60 Lincoln convertible and bring it over, because that's really, no offense to any of you, but really, if you're going to own a classic car, you own a 60 Lincoln. And for those of you that have seen my Lincoln, you know why.
Oh, yeah.
They're simply the most ridiculous car ever built.
Yeah, they are.
They are. There's just
Take a look.
nothing more ridiculous. You think the 59 Cadillacs are crazy? No. The 60 Lincolns are bigger, wider, girthier, and we're all about girth.
And they have fins.
And what?
And they have fins. They have little fins.
That's right. They have those teeny little fins, but it's just I've had so much, and it's just the car.
The headlights are kind of,
Yeah, the
Okay.
latest eyeglasses from that
Yeah.
period of time.
So
I see
David,
it now.
David, on the Lincoln sedans that have the limited slip differential thing to open the trunk, you know,
Right.
that thing flips up. What do you have on the convertible?
You don't have that. There's just, it's not there. But I do have a breezeway window. It's the only convertible ever built with a power.
Yeah, which is
window. You know, Lincoln
amazing.
said, we don't have enough. We have to do crazier things. So
Wow.
let's build a convertible with a power rear window.
There's not enough things to break on that top mechanism. Let's put a glass window that goes up and down
Let's
it.
put a glass window. And knock on wood, the car I've had it a long time. The car has been a good car. But I got to tell you, the car is such a better car than the 58s or 59s. You know, they put leaf springs in 60. They put a different carburetor in. They tuned the engine differently. And, you know, they're cheap. Guys, you want the most ridiculous classic car ever built, and they're cheap. Go buy yourself a 60 Lincoln, either a hardtop or convertible. A 59 Cadillac is $100,000. You can get a gorgeous 60 Lincoln convertible in decent shape for $35,000, $40,000. And you can get a hardtop for $5,000 or $10,000.
Can you feel the difference in the ride with the unibody?
Oh, absolutely. It floats like a butterfly, stings like a butterfly.
Well, I have a follow-up to your Jeff Dunham story, but
Please.
I also did find a picture of the Pinto convertible.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
It makes a pretty cool convertible, actually. So
Oh,
It
my
does.
God.
It does. It does.
What? Hold it up again. No, don't go away. Let's see it. I want to see it again. Hold it up real close.
So it has wood trim all around the where the windows would be. Whoop! I got to do this backwards. There we
Yeah.
go.
There you go. Oh, you can see there's wood trim where they. Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's so
And there's
cool.
no back seat. There's no back seat. It's just like a package tray back there. So,
Oh gosh, that is just
it's
marvelous.
actually fun. It's a fun little car. So, but about 2 years ago, I've always, like, one of my Holy Grail Pintos was a cruising wagon, but I wanted the silver with the stripes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are rarer than hen's teeth and
Yeah.
so hot.
Yeah, so I've been looking for years, and then this one showed up on eBay, and literally it's about 2 years ago, and it was, some guy, it was in Ohio, and they restored the car and repainted it. I don't know how much they did to it mechanically, and it had high mileage. It was like 90,000 miles or something. So, but, so I actually called, there was a lot of pictures. I called the guy because I wanted to make sure that they did the paint right, because if they'd redone it, and so, I started bidding on the car, and originally, like, the bidding was around $3,000, and then it went up to, like, 4, and I was willing to pay maybe like 5 or 6 for it, at the most. So I got outbid, and then it kept going up and up and up, and I kept watching it, and it went for like something crazy, like $15,000 or something, right? Which was way more than it was probably worth. Well, it turns out, about a month later, there's a video that got posted on Facebook of Jeff Dunham, who bought that car, and it was him getting it off the truck and everything, and it was smoking, it was running really rough, and it barely needed like a lot of work. So I kind of dodged that bullet, but obviously he just wanted it and was going to pay, So then a year after that, he found the cruising van, because Ford offered a van package with the same stripes in '77, and he wanted to have, so he found the cruising van and had it restored, and they had, last year at the Galpin show, they had both cars on display in their museum, which is kind of cool. So I got to see the Pinto anyway, so.
Do you guys know I paid $2,500 for my cruising wagon, and it had 25,000 original miles on it?
Well, yeah, because you got it when,
when no one wanted it. And I literally, and it was, there was, you guys remember this, the recycler?
Oh,
Yeah.
Memory lane, the ad was in the recycler, and I went and looked at it, and it was like, okay, here's your cash, give me the car, and that was it. And I didn't even know that the cruising wagon had existed, and I couldn't believe it. Here's a car with porthole windows, and it was orange with an orange interior. And, like I've said many times before, I look like, it was just such a great car.
Well, the funny thing is, Tim Lydeen, remember Tim, called me up and he's like, hey, I saw this cruising wagon for sale for $500, right? So it was pretty tired, but the body was pretty straight, and so I wound up buying it, and it had the V6, and this was when I was parking cars around my neighborhood and hiding them from Bob, and it just had like way too many things wrong with it, and I'm like, look, I really want a silver one, so I wound up having it for about a year. And then I ultimately sold it to this guy, for not much more than I paid for it, because that's kind of what it was worth. But the good news to the end of the story is about 6 months ago, I found this. And I bought it. So I finally have one. Unfortunately, it was one of those, internet purchases where the guy wasn't as honest with me as, I had hoped. So I bought a bunch of cars on eBay and online, over the years. And by and large, they've always either reached or exceeded my expectations for them. But this car was a disappointment because the paint was not as good as, and the interior is all original, and it's a V6, and it's a pretty decent car. And it was worth what I paid for it, but it's going to require to be repainted. So, it'll be a while before anybody sees it. So,
but you can see how cool that silver with the rainbow pinstripe, the rainbow colors on it was just so cool. And that's my second favorite color. I like the orange because when you drove it, you looked like you had hepatitis.
But there's not, like I said, I've been looking for a decade, and there's just not very many of them around at all. So.
Did everybody see the Rainbow Bentley on the Facebook page?
Oh, yeah.
Did anybody see my suggestion that we should have, to complement the Disco Pinto, we should have a Rainbow Rambler and have it wrapped in rainbow colors?
So for those of you that don't know, Dave came up with this great idea that we were all really, really psyched about. And we were going to have a car show in Long Beach, and it was called the Rainbow Car Show because the cars would be arranged by color, which I don't think I've ever seen done at a show before. So we're looking forward to eventually doing that somewhere down the line when we can. But I think it's going to be really cool, and I think it's also going to get a lot of attention because.
Yeah.
And I won't take credit for the idea. That was at the planning meeting. Somebody came up with that. I was just trying to implement it.
Well,
Yeah, I think it was Barry's idea.
Maybe now. No.
Hey guys, I'm going to run along because I promised to help a friend of Mike Perenni's put a window motor in his Sebring convertible, which happens to me every day. I had one of those cars. I had 4 of them, and it's a nightmare, but I can get it done in the same day, which is good. So thank you very much, Ed, for putting this together. Great to see everybody. David, how fond of you I am. And Dave Weisbart, well, I'll see you soon. And my God, Nick, what a surprise.
Yeah, what a pleasure for me, believe me.
And Brett, so nice to meet you. I hope we see you in your corporeal self at an event when we finally freaking have one.
Sure. Good luck with everything.
But wait,
right.
before Mark, before you go.
Yes, sir.
I think since you're on the board, you're the president now, right?
No, easy there. I'm the vice president.
He's the vice.
Well, I didn't look, whatever. Anyway, I think since a lot of the members have moved and aren't where they used to be and everything, that once a month, the club should have a virtual meeting so that you can all get together and the 2 guys from Hawaii didn't even know that each other one was there. So
No, I knew it was in Maui.
I forgot.
Okay, whatever. The point is that this is a way to maintain those relationships, in the group. So put that up in the member.
And I'm kind of surprised that more of our regulars from your cruise that aren't here,
Yeah.
So, but, great.
I think some of them are internet scared.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of people are tech
Yeah,
focused.
thank you, Ed. That's a great suggestion. Dave Weisbart, you and I can bring that up the next board meeting.
Right.
We're looking, what we're trying to do, Ed, is I sent that letter out to all the area coordinators, is we're trying to encourage area coordinators to come up with what we call pop-up events in this, what we'll call charitably this interim period, where we can't have huge structured events and so forth. So if you guys have any ideas about things you think would be fun, talk to your area coordinator, and we just want to be aware of them before they happen. And the hallmarks are they should be basically free and no RSVP and very little structure. And of course, distancing and masks. So we'll just
Well-
keep doing them until,
And
I don't know.
one of
For
the
those-
things that I can
those-
basically survey you guys about is I'm working on an idea now, which I've talked to a couple board members and our social media committee, and I'm going to present at the next board meeting. But I've been involved in the concourse off and on for many years, and when we weren't going to have a concourse 10 years ago, I was the one that decided or came up with the idea to suggest that we do it in Palm Springs and call it the casual concourse and move it out there. So you can either thank or blame me for that, depending on how you look at it. But it pains me that even though we're going to be moving the concourse to February, that technically 2020 doesn't have a concourse. So I am trying to work out a way that we do concourse 2020 virtually. So it'll be Great Auto's virtual concourse, and it'll be online, and people will submit their cars. And
Yeah.
so, do you think that would be a good idea? Is that something you'd participate in?
Yeah, you can
I think
do that.
that's fantastic. And you just do what I did when I showed you my backyard. You say, hi, here's me.
Right,
There's my car.
do a walk around of your car.
Yeah, I think videos would be much more effective than still
Right.
photographs.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do a video of my Jaguar ever since this whole pandemic thing started, except that my Jaguar's been in the shop ever since this whole thing started.
Ouch. I'm sorry,
Well,
Dave.
If any of you want absolutely fabulous masks, there's
Pretty fabulous.
a local clothier here in South LA who makes these. They're $10. They'll mail them anywhere, and they have a huge selection. It's Afro Anansi, and so you're helping a small business. It's part of our community. They're triple layered. They have a filter layer inside in addition to the front and back. So for what it's worth, if you're interested, pop me an email or a text, and I'll pass on the information.
Ed, does your computer have a virus?
Oh, funny, Dave. All
No,
right, you guys.
actually, no, I'll tell you guys a funny story. So the company it's African-American owned. The last set of masks I ordered one that looked red in the picture. And so the owner texted me back and said, I just need to tell you, it's not red, it's actually hot pink, right? So I said, look, I am a gay man living in South Los Angeles with this complexion. My nickname should be Hot Pink. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? It stuck. And they've been using me. I'm one of their models because every time I get one, I put it on, I take a picture, and I put it on Instagram. I've now become a mask model for their product
Wow.
line.
Mass Marvel.
Very cool.
Good to see you. Thanks again, Ed. Good to see everybody. Take care.
You
Bye,
too,
Mark.
Mark. Thank you.
Bye,
Mark.
Good to see you.
I apologize, but I have to go too. Just so you should know, I'm getting my private pilot's license here at the university, and we're
Oh
having
my
a study session in about
Now I've heard
20
everything.
minutes.
Mazel
So yeah, it's really cool. I just got my drone pilot's license, and I'm studying for my private pilot's license. So you come out to visit, we'll do a classic car cruise, and then I'll take you for a flight around Hilo.
Nice.
Awesome.
Take care, everyone. Nick, I'm going to email you or text you and say hi.
Good, please do. That'll be great.
Take care, everyone, and be well.
All right,
Bye.
aloha.
Bye now.
Hey, David.
Bye-bye.
Great seeing you.
Well,
Now
maybe
what?
he just shut off his camera. At this point, I am going to stop recording. I've never done